Hickok 45 here with Jonic 55 TP9. My color of choice, as you can see, was Carhartt green. Pretty nice, huh? Let's take a couple of shots with this baby and see if it will fire. I think it will. Well, didn't do much. Alright, I knew it would have that. Uh-oh, better watch it. I'll be ricocheting into those 2 liters. Whoa, you rascal. Hate to shoot you when you're down, but that's what you chose. Oh yes. Jonic 55 TP9. Y'all have been requesting that I get one of these and tell you what I think about it. Well, you're asking me to think. That's quite a requirement, a request, isn't it? So I did. I called. What do I think of this thing? Well, I'm going to shoot it some more. Been shooting it. Oh man, I've run so many magazines through it. I don't know how many. And some in frustration, I'll be honest with you. I've had some trouble, with the trigger and hitting what I want to hit. Other times I've hit what I want to hit. The gun, obviously, it's an accurate gun. It is made, by the massive defense contractors over in Turkey that have incredibly high quality control standards. That's just universally known. Check it out. And that's one of the cool things about these pistols, the Jonic pistols, is the quality control. They are made just like all the other defensive, quote unquote, weapons, for their military. So the thing about that makes it different is you have incredible, well, I don't know about incredible if that's the proper term, but you have really high quality control, but you also have a low price on this thing. They sell anywhere from like $325 to up to $400. You can find them in a gun shop somewhere or online, but they're going to be really inexpensive for what you get. That's the bottom line. Start out with it. For the money, it is quite a piece of hardware. Okay, for the money. So what about it? It's an outgrowth from this gun. Basically, it is very similar to, and this has magazine out, it's clear, the Walther P99. It's basically a copy of the Walther P99. You can look at the two and kind of see that's what it is. You have a few differences. You got a different mag release on the, you got the standard, mag release on the TP9 here. And you've got, let's see what else was different. You have, oh yeah, the decocker, which we'll go into. It's just it's not ambidextrous on this one. It's just on one side. That's a decocker right there on the P99. Okay. Also, the trigger has got this weird configuration right here, which bothers my finger. I shot this some, but don't know what that's about. But you don't have that on the TP9. Just on the P99. By the way, this is a gun belongs to Elks Outdoors in Pleasant View, Tennessee, and they're the gun shop that is now shipping in our FFL guns, and so we appreciate that, and we appreciate the loan of this P99 because this is a copy of the P99 basically, and I've heard so many people, I've read so many articles about this gun, and it's always mentioned, so I thought I would get a hold of one if I could. So we appreciate that from Elks Outdoors. And anyway, that's kind of what it is with a few differences. You notice the decocker on the TP9 is ambidextrous on both sides. So if I cock it, I get basically into single action there. Trigger will move back all the way to single action. But if I push the button on either side, it pops forward. All right, so that's kind of, if you cock it, ambidextrous. Or you just grab it with both hands, what I've been doing, because it's pretty stiff to push. Right? Now that is unique, isn't it? I have not had a firearm that has a decocker like that right on top. Interesting. Okay, interesting gun. Let's shoot it a little bit more here. Let's see if I can miss some more. All right. All right. Let's do it. I moved the rear sight. It was a little too far to the left. I'm always hesitant to do that, but after a lot of shooting, I just finally decided it wasn't me, because most of the time it is if you're shooting left. But it does print low. have to confess, I was shooting at the 2-liter when I hit that pottery. Confession is good for the soul. Cowboy. Nice. Oh boy. Gong. Let's put one on the gong before we run dry here, if we can. In the dust. Bit the dust. I'm not surprised. Let's take it apart before it gets too hot. Okay, now the interesting thing about these are, now again, if you're familiar with the P99, you really know a lot about this gun, because I think I pointed out the key differences there. Other than price, this sells for, you know, somewhere but roughly $325, $350 in terms of a good price. These are a couple $100 more. Okay, the Walther P99, but basically the same operation. A little bit better trigger on the Walther. Okay, pretty cool. I've got a magazine loaded on that thing. Let me shoot it before I start taking things down. Because the Walther P99, we've not really had at the compound. We've had the PPQ and some others, the PPX and all that, but we've not had one of these. And I've been shooting it a little bit to see what I think about it too. I think it's a little easier to shoot well. I'm not sure what all the reasons are. The trigger is a little bit better is the primary reason. Okay. One thing I did notice about this is that the P99, in my shooting of both of them, the recoil is a little more pronounced with the P99. I don't know if the slide's a little bit heavier on this. We could weigh them, but this doesn't seem to kick as hard. It's interesting. Okay. So P99 is a nice gun. They have a good reputation. All right, so obviously if you're going to make a copy of something, you want to choose a good platform to copy. So let's take it apart. These come apart, if you weren't familiar with the P99 or this, more like a Glock. You see, except a little bit easier in some ways. You got something you can actually get a hold of. Pull down on that, and that comes right off. Notice you're coated in here. You got the coating. It's not Cerakote, I don't believe. It's a whatever they use over there. It's kind of like green paint, I'll have to say. Maybe they borrowed some of that from Carhartt, but it is coated throughout there, and it seems to be made well. The slide to frame fit and everything seems good. It seems like a quality piece of hardware, no doubt about it. A little different, the kind of the Carhartt or the Ninja Turtle green there. I guess it's a little bit dark for Ninja Turtle green, right? Cold hammer forged barrel, I understand. It's just one of those guns that appears to be quality, and everything I've read is that it's very reliable. And I have not had any bobbles with it. We might today, but we've not. But I've read extensively about how it just will not seem to malfunction with people. So I'll jinx it by saying that. And of course, that is possibly the most important feature of a firearm, that is whether it's a duty gun, it's a military pistol, it's your carry pistol, it's your home defense, but whatever you're using it for, if there's anything to do at all with defense, other than just going to a range to plink with, reliability is, I'll say number one. Number two might be trigger, the quality of the trigger. And we'll talk a little more about that. Right? So it does seem like a well-made gun. You got a replaceable back strap. There's one, in case you weren't aware. I probably should put it in. It might help me. I think it's the larger one. You can replace that if you want. It's got two of those. And you can replace the front sight, which I probably should have done because it prints low, if there's a lower front sight choice there. And well, I guess that's about all you have to replace if you want to. Yeah, got a mag loader and all that kind of stuff. Oh, I know what I was going to talk about. The holster, you can create a paddle holster out of this, or you can put this on your belt, whichever you want to do. I did the paddle first, and it wouldn't stay in my pants. It's got just a little bitty hook on it, so I took it off and I put it on this device, so I put it on my belt, and I didn't really like the way it felt there either. And it's got this device. There's what is it, Serpico, or one of those famous holsters that has that locking device, retention device. I don't like that. I don't like to be pushing on my holster with my trigger finger or this finger or any of my fingers down here when I'm about to get my hand on the firearm. It might be fine if you're trained extensively with that holster, but not me. Don't want that. Don't mind a thumb strap or something like that. Don't like that a bit. and you won't catch me wearing one of those. So I was going to maybe do it anyway just because it was a holster. But you know what? I always have my my Glock 30 Don Hume holster that anything will fit in to use. Okay, now the magazines, what about them? Well, they look like they are for this gun, don't they? And they are. Mec-Gar, famous for making good magazines. And I think they're actually 17 round magazines. I think the verdict is not totally in on that. I hear 18 and 17 both. I got 18 in one of these. The other one I could not get the 18th round in. I could just get 17 in it. So I'm just going to call them 17 round magazines. Okay. I'm bad about not wanting to cram that last one in anyway. If it takes too much pressure, I don't want any part of that. It makes the gun difficult to operate, get a slide magazine in when the slide's closed and all that. Don't want that. So I'll say 17 round magazines. Not much difference, is there? Again, the Jonik 55, and by the way, I know that's pronounced a lot of different ways, but I know a couple of guys from Turkey, and they tell me it's Jonik. Okay, now I might be calling it Canik before the day's out, and the next time you see me and hear me, but they say it's Jonik. So we'll get it right a couple of times at least. Of course, and again, like I was telling John, it might be you got a couple of guys in Turkey talking to somebody over here wanting to know, how do you pronounce R-O-U-T-E? You know, one's going to tell them rat, one tell them root. How do you pronounce carbine, you know? So, but anyway, Jonik is what they tell me. And they grew up over there, so give them a little credibility. Again, we appreciate Federal furnishing this food. And before I shoot it some more, let's look at the size thing here. It's really about the size. I should have a Glock 17, which I don't have. Got the Glock 19. You can see it's bigger than that. It's longer. The grip's a lot bigger and all that, which we knew. I just had to use the Glock 19. I had her mainly to do a little thickness comparison on the slide. And Walthers tend to have a little thicker slide. Well, let's put it on this first. Okay, squeeze her up there. Okay, and see how it looks on the Glock 19. Yeah, you got some space there. So, got a thicker slide than the Glock 19 or Glock 17, you know. But it's more like the size of a Glock 17, okay, with a thicker slide. It's got a little heft. It's 27 ounces. That's, you know, some weight to it, empty with the magazine in it. All right. So now, before I shoot it again, let me show you this trigger. This is different. All right, it's striker fired, but it's like a double action to single action hammer fired gun. Okay, you know what I'm saying? You know, I badmouth those, whether it's a SIG or even the Beretta I own and different guns. If the double to single is not my preference, I like a consistent trigger. Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, all to be the exact same. That's my preference. Now, if you train and shoot one that's double to single, you can learn to shoot it well, right? But, and generally with striker fired, that's what you get, you know, consistent. Now, this is kind of different. It is striker fired. But when you pull the, like when I cock it, look at that. I just push the trigger and it just, you know, it moves back into single action basically. And it breaks way back there, almost to the frame. Okay. One thing I noticed in shooting this thing, I thought, well, that must be my imagination. It breaks right there. It's got a nice short reset though. So it resets right there. One thing I noticed though, I'm going to decock it. It is decocked. When you fire the double action mode, it's hard to show it because it pops so fast. I'm going to use both fingers here and push it. It breaks. It breaks. Right there is where it breaks. You know, in single action, what I'm trying to say. But in double action, it breaks out to there. Now that's not a big deal, you might say. It is to me. It's interesting when I'm shooting this thing. It feels a lot better to fire, just for what it's worth. A lot better. If I knew I had to pull this thing and fire one shot, I'm gonna decock it. My life depended on that first shot. It's going to be in double action mode because it just feels so much better. The pull through, yeah, it's heavier, it's probably 10 pounds. Decock it, but it just pulls through and it breaks further out. I mean, a much more comfortable place for me. Once it's cocked and in single action, where it breaks is way back there, and it's really a different trigger pull. It's not good, not a good trigger pull. If you're finicky about triggers, I'm not sure this is even a good buy. Okay, if you're particular about triggers, because I can bring a pile of my guns out that have much better triggers than this. So yeah, it's a great buy. It's a quality gun for the money, but you know, if you know, the trigger could be a deal killer for you. I would try to shoot one if I were you. Find somebody who has one, maybe a rental gun. Surely there's some of these things in rental spots, you know, in nice gun shops that have ranges that have a lot of rental guns, because, you know, I don't know what they cost wholesale to a gun shop, what, 150 bucks or something, or 200 bucks. So they ought to have one of these. As much clamor as there is about them and interest in them. So, but it's a world of difference between single and double. And ironically, it's usually the single action, like with my Beretta 92 FS. If I've got to come out here and try to impress myself shooting plates or something, you know, I'm going to be going get that thing in single action mode. Okay, nice trigger break, you know, and then try to pow, 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 try to pop the things. With this gun, I'd rather, somehow, it's not possible, if every shot was double action. Let me decock it again. There we go. You know, double action. I mean, I don't know what it is about it. It just feels better. And in its favor, though, let me say, it does have second strike capability, which a lot of people, you know, are almost religious about. So if I fire it and it's a bad round, click, come back, same thing. Okay, so like a double action revolver regarding that. All right, so let me take a couple of shots. Again, I struggle. I'm gonna try to hit the gong again. I think I can hit the gong, surely, if nothing else over there. Okay, let me try a pig. Let's try it for the chicken. Okay, and as sure as I say, I have trouble and I can hit a little bit with it, but I was, well, let me try a chicken while I'm shooting at it. Okay, I'll try the red plate again. That has been my nemesis with this thing. I think I popped it a time or two there. Oh, there's a tin can that needs to be shot. Okay, cool. All right, like I say, I had trouble. I try to be honest with you, just like sometimes, well, I don't try to be honest, I am honest with you. Sometimes before a video, I'll shoot a firearm and I'll hit the red plate 4 times in a row or something, you know, or whatever, and then I can't duplicate it in the video. Well, today, I couldn't hit the red plate. I mean, I did hit it once or twice. I must have shot at it 100 times over, just messing around, and got to where I just could not hit it, you know. And, you know, hitting even the pigs and the turkeys, a surprise to me there, the way I was shooting this thing earlier. So, but that's always what you get. You get a snapshot of what's going on, you know, in a video, especially uncut. But it has the capability of being an accurate pistol. I think we know that. If you've seen our accuracy video, that pretty much tells the story. You don't catch me blaming hitting and missing on a pistol or on anything. It's me. Now the trigger does play a major role, of course, and your sights, if your sights are not on, all that. But by and large, it's the shooter, and this shooter does seem to have some trouble with it. No doubt about it. I had a heaping pile of ammo here earlier today, Okay. What should I shoot? Okay, we won't overdo it here. We'll shoot a couple more magazines though. We got a target. Let's put a couple on this. I'll put it in the holster. All right. I know what let's do. Let's just shoot a couple, one-handed, strong hand. Yeah, low. Couple of weak hand shots. And a couple with two hands. Hey, not bad for two hands. All right. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to sneak up on that 2-liter from over here. Usually I'm right in his face. And I see a 12-ouncer down there. It has not been shot. Has now. Out of ammo. Can't believe it. Let's see how it does on rapid fire. What shall we do? Let's just shoot this target. All right, are we ready? Let's go from the holster. Let's decock it. First shot will be double action. My trigger finger was tiring. Sorry, I have to confess, I didn't even look at the sights. I just started shooting. Let's take it over here and wrap up with a couple more lies about it. How's that? See what I can make up. Okay. All right. What did I fail to tell you? And I'm not going to try to tell you everything about it. There's stuff here you probably need to Google if you want to know about it, because I'm bad about giving you every little detail. Again, it's like a Glock in terms of the way it breaks down. You just pull that out like you saw me do. It replaceable back strap there. You got one extra one. It's around $3 1/4, $3.50, depending on where you buy it. Price wise, pretty amazing. The tolerances, the way it's made, it seems like quality. It really does. Despite what it is, it's not my criticism of the trigger. It's not like you get one trigger pull one time and something else the next. I mean, it is made the way they meant to make it, and it is consistent in terms of the way it is. If that makes any sense. It does seem like a quality piece of hardware. It really does. It may just be of use to you or me as a truck gun or something, but it's it's a real gun. It's not, there are firearms that you pay $300 for them. You think, I wasted some money maybe. I just couldn't afford anything better. But this does get you, this $300 or $325 or $350 does get you into a real gun. One you can rely on, one that instead of buying a loud muffler, you might be able to put that same $300 into something like this and actually have a real gun. If that's the most you can afford, you really could. It's and it's not even as loud as a muffler, is it? And it might be more useful. Might not make you as cool, but you have a nice firearm that will get the job done. As much as I criticized it, I was able to hit a few things, and if I worked with that trigger, I could probably get better. But I'm probably not going to work with it a lot. I have no need to. Give me something, again, I know, give me a hard time, but whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a Glock. It could be a Springfield, it could be some others, but if it's the same trigger pull every time, that's really what I prefer. Not this weird trigger that you get with this firearm. But that said, seems like a good gun and well made, and I like a lot of the philosophy of it. And of course, I'm talking, I guess, also about this because it's a copy of it. But like a Glock and some other firearms, you don't have these gigantic protruding slide locks and all that kind of thing. It's pretty well a melted approach, and it's smooth, and that's what I like. Kind of a minimalist approach. So there's a lot going for it that I can't criticize. I really can't. But the deal killer on almost all firearms is how well they shoot. Can you shoot it? Is the trigger horrible to you, or is it not? Recommend highly again that you get someone who has one with them. Get with them and shoot the thing, even before you spend $350. By the time you get background checks and tax and all that, you're going to be up there probably in the neighborhood of $400 maybe, depending on where you buy it. So even though it's probably a really good buy for the money, just make sure you're putting your money in the right spot there with it. So anyway, the Jonic 55 TP9, Jonic. That's what they tell me is the way to say it. But again, it's Canik. It's whatever you think it is. Whatever you would like it to be, say it that way, okay? With confidence. So anyway, TP9, interesting gun, a really good price. Kind of a, again, a copy of the Walther P99, which is a fine firearm, even though it's been updated. Can't beat the price, though. Life is good.